Good evening, Turkey. Actually, I didn't know much about Turkey beforehand. Only thing I actually know is that Turkey beats Finland every time in football. That is painful, but it's reality. But when it comes to circular economy, I've been working in that field for some time. I worked previously in Silicon Valley in energy and environment sector. I've been leading green growth programs, more than 100 million euros in Finland, and now I'm leading the circular economy practice at SITRA. And I will tell you a little bit more about the circular economy, as was understood that you want to understand more about the concept and also what is the business of it. Couple of statements first. One is that there is no word for unsustainable companies, and this is the new reality in Europe in many cases. So you have to work with these topics. Customers want that, cities want that, stakeholders want that, so it's a kind of a must thing to do, of course. Second is that asset ownership will become a new industry, and this means actually pretty much that nobody wants to own things anymore, especially in the consumer side. They want to have the access for the ownership. They won't have the performance, the convenience. Thirdly, underutilized assets will be a thing of the past, and we know that there's so much waste. And I'm not talking about the structural waste or tangible waste, but more or less many other wasteful things as well in the society. Thirdly, about SITRA, we are innovation fund. Our fund size is 800 million euros, and we invest in innovation in Finland. We are 50 years old, and we are kind of the painful kind of agile experiment organization that challenges our government as well to take the circular economy as a focus area. We started our work from the idea that is well known, that we should decouple the economic growth from the use of natural resources and pollution. But we have to go beyond that. We have to perceived well-being should be decoupled from the economic growth as well. Finland is well known in digitalization. Of course, you know the history of Nokia. It was mentioned here as well today. But there's a lot of things happening in the startup field as well. So we hope that we can also contribute to this challenge. When we started our work, we studied with McKinsey about the wastefulness of the societies. And of course, in Europe, most of the materials are used only once. That is crazy. And also we throw most of the consumer products, and that is also, it's really meaningful. The thing that I was mentioning, that it's not only about the kind of materials, it's about the occupancy rate of cars. And we know that that's actually a high figure, the 8%, because most of the time you are in the traffic. I saw also in Istanbul that you have some traffic here as well. More than in Finland, we have only 5 million people in the whole country. So basically, there's so much things to do better right now, and especially when the globalization is coming and more cities are coming, so we need to have more farmland, water, steel, and energy. So what to do? Well, in Finland, we see that circular economy is the answer, and of course, it's a difficult concept to grasp. From our point of view, it's a system, digital and service-based circular economy, basically meaning that we will decrease the amount of waste generated. We will move towards more, not only recycling, but more reuse, remanufacturing, and more to services. And we should use more renewable energy, and of course make products that are good quality and remain in use much longer than they are used to. We all know mobile phones that they are changed in every 2 years, but is that really necessary? Could we just upgrade the contents, etc.? Where are the kind of opportunities? They are mostly in these 3 topics: mobility, food, and buildings, construction. Name it like you want. But anyhow, I think these are the big areas that we are also working in with our stakeholders. And that's where I think the most of the money of the consumer is as well. When it comes to circular economy and the global situation, circular economy kind of as a concept starts from Europe, but it has spread over different parts of the world as well. And for example, Japan, they don't have much natural resources, so they have been very agile and smart in their natural uses for decades. But also in Latin America, this is very interesting, the concept as such. Okay, and then about the businesses. Of course, you can draw up big numbers, and that's not, I think, the most important thing here. Regardless if it's a global figure or European or Finnish figure, it's always about billions of euros. And companies actually understand this quite well, and I come to that why it's easy to understand. We started our work with McKinsey, and we wanted to make a kind of business opportunity map for CEOs so that they understand what is the business of it. And it has been useful for us because now we are working with our technology industry to transform the industry to circular economy principles. And they are really keen to understand more about it. And actually, construction sector was one of the areas here studied, and they are all in English, so you can have a look how they were calculated. These are small figures, of course, for you, but for Finland it's already something. But the main idea in construction sector, for example, was that we should change the kind of current model, especially in the capital region of Helsinki, where we have a lot of empty office spaces. Even during the office hours, they are not used as efficiently as they should. And we should actually transform them to residential houses. And that's the added value. And the building should be that flexible that you could do it. But it's not very easy. There's a lot of regulation, unfortunately, to hinder that progress. Politicians like circular economy because they are jobs. And landfilling is out of the question in Europe, of course, already, in many of the countries. And you have to go beyond that. You should go to recycling, but that's not enough. It's okay, but you should more or less think your processes so that you have reused and remanufactured, and go beyond that to services as well. And why companies then are moving towards circular economy? There are, of course, risks and opportunities. Risk is that you get a higher commodity prices. You have to pay for your wastes. There's the overuse aspect. And there's the environmental impact you are making, and what the customers actually are wanting. Then you have the opportunities. You can reduce your costs. You can improve your competitiveness. So it's actually from kind of cost to opportunity. It's circular economy. And of course, there are different principles that you could work on, and I will come to that as well later on. I'm not a construction expert, or I haven't worked in that area, but my team is thinking this with companies in Finland in this space. This is not from Finnish studies, but you can see that there's a lot of waste as well in this sector, and it was stated already here as well. And we should work from the construction side to end of life and find out the ways to kind of fine-tune these processes. Because even people living in the house don't want to live in that big houses anymore. It's expensive, and you don't need that space. But of course, there are challenges. Many materials have toxic elements, so you can't really reuse them. So you have to design it so that you can do that. Of course, there are some opportunities as well. And one of the things is how to design and produce circular building. That's something that, of course, is a big investment, more than 100 million opportunity based on the Ellen MacArthur Foundation studies. And that's something that we also challenge our companies in Finland to think about. And they are thinking, but they are not yet in that level, of course. It's still conservative business in Finland. And sometimes it's, of course, good as well. In Finland, my team was working with the industry and trying to find out how to fine-tune the processes. This is just an illustrative example, but basically the idea is that we have come up with, in discussion with cities, that they actually want to change the way that the things are done in Finland right now. Because they actually want to see in the future, and for example, many young people in the Scandinavia countries don't drive the driver's license anymore. So basically, do you need cars that much? What about the autonomous cars when they are coming, and shared vehicles? So basically, it's very expensive to have these parking lots and garages. So do you really need that? And they should actually make sure that the construction sector will take a note of that. And you have to do that early on in the process. And that's why we are making some suggestions and guides together with the industry as well. And there was great examples from our Danish colleague about the kind of international experiments in the building sector. And I don't want to repeat that. But I have to say that wooden constructions are coming more and more in play, not only in the residential side, but in higher buildings. And that's great, of course, because you detach carbon in it for a longer time. And of course, in Netherlands, they are thinking how to dismantle and separate in a way that you can use the materials in a higher value use. And in Amsterdam, they are really thinking of having, for example, the last picture, the kind of marketplaces for buildings. And of course, that's just a concept idea, but that's what they are thinking right now. So there are different kind of ways to go forward, and I know the industry in Finland is really interested in this as well. But okay, I was talking about the business side, so how to get started. Basically, what we wanted to do in Finland first was to inspire companies. And how do you do that? Well, we decided that we will make a most interesting company list of circular economy companies in Finland, and it should be end of this year 100 company lists for the anniversary of Finland. And we made a list of certain business categories that we see important from circular economy point of view, from product life extension to resource efficiency and recycling and everything in between. And they are very excited. Of course, they want to be in the list for many reasons. And there's only a couple of examples here, but just for the kind of examples point of view, I will name one from the product life extension, Valtra. They are remanufacturing gearboxes. Basically, they are selling tractors. And what they came up was that they were thinking that could they use the kind of consumer level bottle deposit system in their business. You know the system, how it works, that when you buy a bottle of soda, there's a deposit that when you get it back, you get the deposit back. Could they use that in their own business? And they actually did that experiment, and customer pays deposit for the gearbox and return that later on. And of course, what Valtra saves is 80% energy, 80% material, and they remanufacture it, and it's 30% cheaper when they sell it back. And they say that it's better than the new one because it's already tested. And actually, it's 20–30% per year growing the business. So it's really exciting for the company, and it comes from an idea from totally different area. So that's just an idea that you could develop. And in order to have this global community of circular economy, we decided that we will form World Circular Economy Forum. And we hold the first forum in Helsinki in June this year, and we were amazed. There were more than 1,600 participants from 100 countries. We had 1,000 people in the waiting list. We did this with the Ellen MacArthur Foundation, European Commission, and many others. And we are having the next forum in Asia next year. So there's certainly room for discussion in the space. But finally, as a kind of a final thing, I would like to show you a video about the progress in Finland in circular economy. So let's have that next here.
Finland is a small and agile nation. Therefore, it's a great testing ground for getting massive new ideas. A year ago, we here at the Finnish Innovation Fund SITRA put together a roadmap. It's first of its kind, and it looks like this. Yes, the map's a circle, because it's a map to almost infinite opportunities, a map to a circular economy. In 1 year, it has led us to discover sustainable innovations in all sorts of places and industries in Finland. Have a look. We have entrepreneurs who turn rags and worn clothes into fancy new garments. We are introduced to new vegan food innovations all the time, and several restaurants serve gourmet dinners made out of waste food. Then there is this guy who thought, hey, I'm gonna sell light, and actually made it work. It's called lighting as a service, and it's based on the same business idea as shared cars. We also have those in Finland. But it's not only small business owners who are getting it here in Finland. Heavy industries in the Arctic are closing the loop on millions of tons of raw material. This is now being replicated all over the country. For the World Circular Economy Forum 2017, SITRA gathered the most recognized experts and decision makers from 100 countries around the same table. It was a large table, I assure you. And the greatest change is yet to come. At SITRA, we're on a mission to train half of Finnish teenagers to become circular economy natives. Yep, we just made up that word. Feel free to copy it. And please have the map too. Really, we insist. It's a freebie worth billions, and that's not even a lie. Even though we Finns are a crazy bunch, we are honest. Like officially. Future is made together.
All right, thank you so much.